Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome to another episode of B is for Build. We're here working on the Lamborghini Murcielago project. EV Lamborghini Murcielago project to be precise. In the last episode, we went out and rescued this thing from a farmer that happened to have the same name as me and brought it back to the shop. Gave it a good look over, pulled all the miscellaneous pieces off of it and out of it, and peeled all the plastic off, and now we're ready to get to work. In today's episode, we're gonna find out, does this thing start? Does it run? We've got flat tires slash no tires, but could we drive it a little bit? We're gonna find that out in today's episode. Stay tuned. So this vehicle was in a pretty, actually I would say delicate rollover for a Lambo. Really damaged mostly that side over there and rolled over. You can see it scraped up this pillar a lot, and it definitely did a number on the windshield. So this thing is kicking out little tiny glass shards that are very, very uncomfortable and covering the interior and all of us anytime we try and work on it. So I think that should be the first thing to go. We'll go ahead and remove this windshield. That way we don't have glass falling on us when we try and clean up the interior. This windshield is a little bit unique compared to a lot of the other ones that we've worked on because it goes all the way to the edge. Glass runs all the way to the edge and then just stops right here on this little bit of rubber, and then it's into the door. So it's very different, and it doesn't leave a lot of room for like cutting tools or anything. So we're gonna have to be crafty, and I would wear gloves. Let's get it out. Mystery solved with this front trim piece, but we're finding some interesting stuff, so I want to update you guys. There's just a little cap on a nut. Take that off. Windshield wipers come off. This looks really, really similar to the material. I would bet dimes to dollars that's the same material that they used to fasten windshields in, that they're using to hold a lot of trim pieces down. I'm seeing it right here on this piece of trim, and then I also saw it down here. So that's like a 3M window weld is like the brand that we use around here. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm guessing it's a polyurethane thing like that. We got some of this trim back over here where there's no door, and accidentally damaged this trim piece a little bit, but it's repairable. And it's really interesting since these windows go all the way to the edge. There's no trim here, and it's just a big thick line of window adhesive. So that's pretty cool. So you can see how easy it is to go ahead and get in here and cut this line of window adhesive with no door. With the door on though, it is really blocking and getting in the way of stuff. So we've actually made the decision to go ahead and just take the door off, and that'll get it out of the way and make it much more easy to cut this windshield out. Got the windshield all cut out all the way around. It's looking a lot better. I have no idea what happened here. I know that we pointed this out earlier, but it's a little crispy charred. I don't know what that is, but it'll have to be repaired. So our goal in this episode is to see if we can get this car to start. I do believe the previous owner started it once before it was sold to me, but that was about 4 years ago. So there's a few different things that we do with any vehicle when we're trying to get it to start for the first time. Electrical, we're going to turn the key, we're going to get the battery going and turn the key, but right now we're going to kind of focus on the gas, just kind of halfway assuming the electrical is going to work. Why aren't we starting with the electrical? Probably should start with the electrical before we worry about the gas. Yeah. So we usually would start with the electrical, so we're gonna start with the electrical. All right, let's figure out. So there is a battery area back here. Oh yeah, you guys probably noticed we got it on the lift. Huge thanks to BenPack for providing us with this awesome 4-post lift. And they own the company that makes Cool Boss, which has been keeping us nice and cool in our shop. Big shout out to them for both of these things. It has been huge life improvements. So this is going to make it really easy when we need to get under the vehicle, but for right now, I think we're going to be working right here in this location. We got a little bit of discovery to be doing, but we believe the battery is mounted in there somewhere just because we're seeing really high gauge wires down here, and that looks very much like a kill switch. So we're going to be removing some of these carbon fiber panels and digging into the battery to try and figure out where it's at and if it's got a voltage and all that good stuff. It's most likely dead. This car's been sitting for 4 years. We've uncovered the mystery of the battery. Sorry, fans got to be roaring. It is record heat these days, so hopefully it's not too bad. Once I go through and edit this footage, if it's terrible, we'll start shutting them back off again, but this is a testing phase. So, up there is wiring, and there are wires and stuff, but the way to access the battery is clearly through this back shroud, which once we started getting after it, I remembered that somebody had left a comment, so thank you for letting us know that. That's where we access the battery, and what we've got is our booster pack on this battery right now, because it was showing 11.5 volts, which is not too bad, but what we're noticing is, we've got the key inside the vehicle, and we've never seen any lights or anything, but there is that kill switch thingy, and Oscar's ready to turn it. So let's get in here in the dash and just start watching. The key is in, the key is turned to, hey, we got all the lights. Nice, dude. Whoa, there's so many lights. Let me see if I can focus. Hang on, don't turn it off. Wow, that is a retro dashboard if I've ever seen one. 37,000 miles on this here Lamborghini. That ain't bad. That's really cool. Oh man. Guess what the gas gauge is reading? Full. Oh my gosh. I like how it has the neutral right in the middle. I know. And it's all in dots. That's super cool, man. I really like that dash. All right, so that's really great news. And that's the right way that we should have done things. Double check the electrical, so that's good. We've got the battery charging right there, and we've got our jumper box over there charging up. So those two things combined, I think we'll be able to fire this vehicle up. We'll get the engine to turn over. Next thing that we want to look at is the fuel situation. The reason we are commenting on the fact that it's got a full tank is that this thing's been sitting for like 4 years. Unknown amount of sitting before I got it. The odds that the gas is still good is slim. So the best way to do this would be to drain all the gas that we can from the vehicle and start with fresh premium. So since we have it on the lift, we're gonna go ahead and put the wheel back on there for safety, and then we'll lift it up over our heads and show you guys what it looks like underneath. So one of the first times that we've ever done this on BS for Build, we are going to give you a tour of the underside of one of our vehicles now that we've got this 4-post lift. So, here's the thing that I immediately noticed. That is the fuel cell up here, right there. So you can see that right there. That's actually the drain that we were looking for, that we hope exists. But man, this thing is damaged really badly. Let me come around. And you can see the rest of the damage from the outside. So this fuel cell actually probably took a lot of the brunt of the wreck, but it doesn't look like it's leaking. But if we were gonna run this powertrain, that would be a must replace thing. Other things that we saw, little oil leak. It looks like it's just coming right here from the drain plug, so that's really no biggie. Just a tiny little leak. So to give you guys an idea of the layout, like right here, that's the engine. The engine is above us. This is the trans right here, and it sends power forward to the front differential, which then goes, to each of the front wheels. And then if we rewind and we go back here, the trans also sends power out this drive shaft right there back to the rear differential that is this guy right here, and then that shoots it both out. So the rear differential on this vehicle is actually behind the engine, which makes it so ridiculously long in the middle because it takes up an extra 8 or 9 inches that it doesn't need to. So this is where the rear drive shaft is, coming right through here. It would normally be right about here, you know, like where they have the output shaft. But weird Lamborghini engineering, and that's what we got. So Oscar's got 2 brand new fuel jugs and is ready to use them. Nice jugs. So we're gonna see what happens. The fuel gauge, now all those gauges and stuff were pretty much all lit up and all reading, so it might have just been showing full because that's what it does in a auxiliary state, or this fuel cell might be chock full of fuel. We're not really sure.
It might just be crushed and pushing the
oh yeah, also could be crushed and pushing the fuel level sensor. So we're gonna go ahead and loosen that thing up a little bit, and if fuel comes out, we will very carefully drain the fuel. Well, that really didn't go well. We have to go home now. I will explain tomorrow. All right, guys, we're back. That went south pretty quickly. Steady stream of gasoline. One wrong move kind of started showering us in gas. I got gas in my eyes. Luckily, we had our containment mat, so none of it spilled anywhere. But we got covered in gasoline. Got gas in places it's not supposed to be. That was kind of gnarly. Don't do that at home. And now that we got the bad gas out, we got to put more gas in. So we're gonna go ahead and lower this thing down to the ground. We've got some new premium. We're gonna go ahead and get that inside the car, and then we got to check the oil. We ran into a little bit of trouble with the fuel door, like it wouldn't open. This is like, so old school, this is the Lamborghini, I believe this is the last Lamborghini that was made by Lamborghini Solo. So there's just some weird Italian stuff in here. And then Audi jumped in and everything started making sense. And that's when you got cars like my Huracan and I believe the Gallardo as well. Not 100% sure on that. I should probably learn my Lamborghini history a little bit more. But anyways, so like I used to be a software user interface designer. You know, you put all the buttons you're going to use the most right in front of the person. So your hand's going to be right here when you're driving. That's where they put the fuel filler door. Like the easiest to access button ever. And the next one is the mirror folding button. Very, very not like ergonomic. It's like how they just ruined the new iPhone by putting the home screen customization button as the easiest thing to do. Anyways, so you hit that button, it does nothing because I think the vehicle thinks the doors are locked. And the door lock and unlock button is on the doors, which we took off. So that left that thing locked. Now, there is a secondary way to do it. There's a pull string somewhere that will open your fuel door in case of emergency. But, well, there's a lot of weird strings around this vehicle, and we don't know what they all do. So we couldn't find it, or we didn't have enough patience. So then we got a screwdriver, and this is where our knowledge base becomes applicable to everybody. We can't really teach you just a bunch of stuff about this car because nobody owns them, and everybody that does won't work on them themselves anyways. So what are we doing here at BS Rebuild? I don't know. But anyways, just we could see light through there. Oscar takes this little flathead, pushes the pneumatic pin back. It's a really pretty simple thing. And just pushes it back, and see this pin was sending itself through that hole, and he's able to get through there with the screwdriver. So if you see a Murcielago on the street and you want to siphon its gas, that would be how you do it. Anyways, oh wow, that's on there tight. So we're gonna pop that off. We're gonna get a gallon in there. We're just gonna start with 1 gallon because our fuel tank is very crumpled. We don't know where the pickup is, so we don't know how much fuel we're gonna need, but we're gonna start with 1 gallon, go up, and keep going up and up and up from there. That's interesting. Until we think we're going to get fuel to feed into the engine. So let's go ahead and get 1 gallon in there, and then we'll start talking about the oil. And we got to make sure that we have oil in this vehicle before we try and start it. How to do that? We don't know. All right, we got fuel in. We watched a quick little YouTube video. This is a dry sump system, so the fill neck is way over there. It's really weird. I don't know how you add oil to this without spilling it all over your engine bay, but it's got the dipstick built into the end of the fill neck, so we're just going to go ahead and pull it off and make sure we've got some oil in this bad boy. Engines to run, you know, air, fuel, spark, lube. This is the lube section of all of that, and everything else.
Heavy duty.
Yeah. They spared no weight when they built this car. It's a really weird car. The whole frame so far looks like the construction is just steel, which I know you guys love when I build my cars out of steel. And then they cover it all with carbon fiber, which is kind of like a nice afterthought. Doesn't look like we have any oil.
Nope.
No oil.
Nothing on here.
Great.
What kind of oil does a Lamborghini take?
Lamborghini oil. Whatever oil company sponsors us next, oil. We got a couple quarts. We had to add just a couple quarts of fancy oil. We got it to register on the dipstick, so we're feeling good about that. Air, fuel, spark, lube. The lube is the most important one to protect your engine, so we've got the oil in there. As far as the fuel, we've got the fuel in there. We're hoping that the fuel pumps are still going to work and everything like that, so the rest of it is up to this Lamborghini engine and how it's going to feel. I would be lying if I didn't say I'm slightly nervous. Now, if we do fire this thing up and it fires up, we don't have a rear radiator back here, so the cooling system is going to be running dry, so we can't run it for too long. We could damage the water pump that way, but we can run it for a few seconds, get it to an idle. So I do believe it's the moment of truth. Dude, I'm pretty nervous.
Yeah.
Pretty nervous.
Excited.
I don't know why I'm so nervous. Did we take the key out?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I think I turned it all the way off.
It would have been better if we cleaned all the mold out of here, but what fun is that? Okay, the brakes obviously go down to the floor.
Brake light works.
Do we think it's going to start in neutral?
Yes.
Not in park? I don't even know how I would put this thing in park.
Usually cars start in neutral, but you never know.
The fuel gauge says full again, so we know that wasn't working. Dude, I'm so nervous.
Dude, this one's not as bad as anything we've built from the ground up, so.
I know, right? It's the car from the factory that's got me scared. It's that farmer build. Who knows what he did with this? Okay, I'm gonna give it a shot. You ready?
Yeah.
It works. It works. It works. Dude, there's so much like field debris in that engine bay after the guy rolled it over. Like something probably hit a fan belt. That's what that sound was. Oh yeah, I kind of expected garbage to go flying everywhere. There's so much. So when this thing rolled over, as we showed you on the bottom, it got so much dust and or not dust, but dirt, debris. So engine, like normally when you see a rear or mid-engine car, the accessory belt's going to be right up here in the front. It's actually right here in the back, and you can see how crammed it is. So it could have caught a leaf, a twig, a something, and started squealing, which is not an issue. But man, it sounded good. Yeah. Like it was actually idling really clean. And it fired pretty much right up. How cool is that? Dude, I was stoked. See, this is like kind of a crazy gamble because just the fact that that engine turned on pays for the whole vehicle. Like if we wanted to sell that, we could make 10 grand on keeping the rest of all the rest of this. Like that's worth about 40 grand on the market, give or take. It depends if you have the right buyer. And it depends on the right time, right? Because if like 3 of them end up on the market at once, whoa, I got a needle from
Days.
No, I think this is from the when we cut the windshield. I just found this in my ass. It's it's a needle from, I don't know, maybe it flew off the truck.
Yeah, we had a lot of them.
Might have flown all the way off the truck into the seat, but that was uncomfortable. Anyways, the engine, the transmission, and all the running gear on this vehicle can be worth a lot, and I was aware of that when I bought the vehicle, but we're going to keep it, and I'm going to tell you why right now. So for some reason, as I've been working on cars a little bit longer, I kind of refuse to just take the easiest, obvious way out, which would be restore this car. I would bet you that within a month to a month and a half, we could have this vehicle completely restored, back on the street, driving around in his V12. And here's the problem. is I probably wouldn't get in this car and use it very often. My V10 cars, the Huracan, much more reliable, much easier to deal with if I break it. This thing is basically like at this point kind of a vintage specialty car. And there's not a lot of, I know some great Murcielago mechanics actually, but they're very busy and they're working on rich people's Murcielago, and I ain't them. So it's like kind of hard to diagnose and all that other stuff. So that's why I really wanted to go with the electric platform for this, so I could just get it on the road and use it and beat the hell out of it all that I want and never really have to worry about the powertrain. So then I was thinking, okay, well, I'll sell the powertrain to somebody that has a blown Murcielago or something like that that really needs it. That way we can get another one on the road. I guess if somebody was in dire need, it still could in theory be for sale, but I have another build idea. I'm not gonna spoil it all right now, but it utilizes one of the very first cars that we rebuilt that happens to be having a bit of a wiring issue, so we don't ever drive it anymore. And let's just say I was playing around with AI and accidentally created a really cool body design for it, and then now we have a really cool powertrain for it. So I'm thinking we put this engine and this drivetrain into one of our old builds to bring it back to life, and we put a new body on it, and it would basically be like a custom car that we would make, and it will have this awesome exotic sounding, exotic driving engine, and it'd be fun like weekend drive, take to cars and coffee type of car. But that's the game plan for this engine and powertrain, so I'm very excited that it works. In the next episode when we're working on this thing, the goal is going to be to pull the powertrain out, and then eventually we want to have the powertrain be able to just sit on a pallet with all the Murcielago wiring, everything that it needs to run, like a standalone thing outside of the car's body. So imagine the whole powertrain running outside of the car on some pallets on the ground here. That's the goal. That's the end goal, is getting it running completely standalone outside of the vehicle. And then we start going after this chassis to make room so we can plop it onto a Tesla. Now, I have mentioned a few times how ridiculously hot it is. It's really hot here. And we stopped working on the boat because it was really rainy there. When it's really hot here, it's actually really nice temperature at the boat. So here's the game plan right now. We need to go get my boat done and get it in the water. It's so close. So we had a stutter step and we stopped progress because I was gonna EV swap it, but not yet. We gotta get those LSs ripping and roaring. So the engines are in there. It's just pretty simple. We gotta wire it up and attach it to boat stuff and little throttle linkage here and there. We'll be fine. So here's the game plan. I wanna let you guys know what's going on. I understand it could be a little confusing. This is just our confusing summer of fun. This truck right here, all sanded up, ready, prepped for paint. We're gonna build some lower boxes on this thing. We're gonna paint it. We're gonna get the windows in it. That way we can use this to take to the boat, to go work on the boat. We can sleep in the truck. We can start testing it out before we get the interior finalized, figure out things that we like, things that we don't like. You know, give it a little test run before we just finish out the full interior. So we're gonna get a coat of paint on the truck, get the truck into a state where we can be driving it back and forth to the boat. Then we're gonna go work on the boat. The goal is to have the boat in the water by the end of July, which is going to be a pretty tough goal, but I think it might be possible. Other than that, guys, I want to let you know some really good news is I got my last cancer scan back, and it is all free and clear. That is 1 3/4 year of your boy having no cancer showing up on any scans. This is my little PSA, my little announcement. If you have any history of melanoma in your family or bad history with skin cancer, make sure you're seeing a dermatologist. I almost died. I was like this close to dying from it. I don't want anybody to be in that position. If you go see a dermatologist and you have your just like an annual meeting, your likelihood of dying from this stuff goes through the floor. It becomes really hard to die from it. It's unique in the sense that it can be very preventable. It's a preventable type of cancer. They can find it early. They can cut it out from you, and you won't have to do all the crazy treatments that I had to do. So please, people, go see a dermatologist if you haven't, and if you think you're at risk of skin cancer, or if you don't think you are, everybody should see one. So that's my little PSA, trying to help out. But yeah, good news, I'm doing good. I always have my mindset on the next goal. The next goal is right before SEMA. I'll have my next scan. That'll be 2 years. So you'll see me celebrating at SEMA, celebrating my ass off with this build right here, another build that's soon to come, and a body that has no cancer in it. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. Hope you tune in to see the next one, probably painting the truck, and then we're hitting that boat. We'll see you guys then. Peace!